Hello, welcome back. As we all know, TikTok, for better or worse, was saved from self-destruction into oblivion, at least in the United States. So I have more videos to share with you, and I have stuff to say about them. Some of these are kind of long, so I am not going to have a ton of them for this edition, but that's okay. You guys, it's fine. I have like a backlist, so I'm so sorry in advance if you're just getting video after video of me responding to TikToks, because I'm also always still looking for new ones. So let's just get started because I've got a couple, and like I said, they are long.
I feel like everything I want to say about ARCs is so stupidly obvious that it's like almost silly that I want to post this at all, but I want to post it because I don't think that we say these things out loud about ARCs enough, and we should be. And you know, TikTok's going away, might as well. So advanced reader copies, ARCs, if you are uninitiated, are digital or print copies of manuscript that go out prior to publication. They are often disseminated through websites like Edelweiss if you are a bookseller or librarian, or NetGalley if you are a bookseller, librarian, and or reviewer in some capacity, content creation, or a Goodreads reviewer, or something in between. If you are someone who talks about books in a semi-public way, NetGalley is the way that you would secure digital ARCs. And then you can also email publishers and or be in influencing programs to receive print copies of ARCs. ARCs are an incredibly powerful marketing tool because not only does it sort of build buzz around a book prior to its publication and sort of increase pre-orders and sales on release day, and can be useful marketing data for how to promote a certain book leading up to its release, it is also a way that like manuscripts can receive like possibly hundreds of other eyes that pick out issues pre-printing. So like, are there major spelling issues? Are there sensitivity issues that other readers might capture that editors and copy editors and line editors do not see? It's just really useful. And like, I think like when I talk about ARCs, in no way do I mean to say like, oh, they shouldn't exist or anything like that. Like I have them right here. I have a bunch of ARCs right here. I have ARCs all over these shelves, like things that have been given to me by like wonderful people in publishing, but also people in who are just like friends of mine. Like I'm in no position absolutely to say that like ARCs are tools that we shouldn't be using. But I do think that the way that ARCs are talked about and distributed now feels like it is different than how it was distributed a few years ago, where I think the implicit and sometimes explicit expectation of certain publishers is that when you receive an ARC, you will say nothing but positive and glowing things about the work, and you will post about it in such a way as to actively market the product. So, for example, I was sent a link to an influencer program for a romance publisher a little over a month ago. And they had a list of all of the books that they had coming out in the next quarter, and said that if I wanted to request one of those books as an advance copy, I would have to post links to prior reviews that I'd done of those authors' work, positive reviews. So the expectation was, first of all, that I'd spent a really long time reading that author's work and reviewing that author's work, and that I had overwhelmingly favorable things to say about that author's work. I also know people who have been like taken off of influencer programs for having critical reviews of advanced reader copies. I know people who have been denied access to advanced reader copies because their political beliefs didn't align with the person who approved advanced reader copies. See the S&P boycott for more information. I think that this is interesting because obviously the immediate rebuttal to that is you aren't entitled to advanced reader copies. Like, no one deserves a free book pre-publication. I think that is true, and I think I want to talk about that. But I also think that it's important to note that ARCs were not always given on these conditions, that negative reviews, even pre-publication, were useful data points, and they were still things that created buzz. And in this landscape where people are constantly talking about like anti-intellectualism and stifling diversity of thought and like the increasing commodification of bookish spaces, I think we should be concerned about the fact that publishers are not interested in receiving or seeing criticism for published work. Like, criticism is the backbone of being able to think critically, obviously. And it's interesting to me that commercial power or commercial interests supersede criticism. Like, I think it's something to be concerned about, as obvious and silly as it sounds. And I also think that historically, advanced reader copies did not come with that implicit or explicit expectation in hand. It just didn't. I have plenty of friends who are like librarians or booksellers or have worked in other capacities in publishing who have been able to relatively freely say what they felt about a book without fear of retribution.
Okay, so this is a really long video, like 10 minutes. I'm going to speed it up, but there's kind of two parts of this. And so the first one I'm going to talk about now. So this has just not been my experience. And so I'm not trying to say that my experience is the only experience, but I have never had an ARC that I was required to post positive about. I'm not exaggerating when I guess I say that I've had like well over 100 ARCs in my possession during my tenure as a book person. I have almost been on social media as a book figure for 5 years. In April, it will be 5 years. So like I said, you know, I've had several of these advanced reader copies, whether it's digital or physical or an audiobook. I have had plenty in my time, and I've never really, that I can recall, I'm not going to say never, but there's never that I can recall have I received like instructions that I was to leave a positive review. I have received instructions that if I am going to leave less than a 4-star review, to not tag the author, tag the publisher, but don't tag the author. I have been told that if it's like a specific author that has reached out to me to read their book, or a very small publisher, if I don't like it, I will sometimes message them and say, hey, this is what I feel about this book. Here's a review I wrote. Do you want me to post it or not? I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I understand that, especially for small publishing houses, this is what they are relying on a good bit to promote their books. And like, they don't need me to be out here saying bad things. If someone asks me, I'm not going to lie about it. But do I need to make a specific post about this book that I didn't like? I don't think that's a problem. And like I said, like, I have gotten so many arcs in my time, and I get them from all of the big publishers, some of the smaller ones. Like, I will tell you exactly what they say. Okay, of course I can't find one now that I'm looking for it. They always come with a piece of paper in the front that is like, I hope you enjoy this story. This is something, you know, a little bit about it, a little bit of the background. And usually it says, if you enjoy the story and want to share about it on your social platforms, please use such and such hashtags and tag these particular accounts. That's it. And it very much says, like, if you want to share about this. I feel like on most occasions, there is no expectation that you're going to post about it, like, without a doubt. Like, it's not a requirement. They're taking a risk by sending you a book that you might not want to post about it. I mean, I personally, if I feel kind of neutral on a book, like I enjoyed it, but I just don't have that much to say about it, I don't really post about it, even if it was an arc. I mean, sometimes I'll post it in like books I've read recently kind of situation, but I might not make it its own thing. And like, I think that's kind of par for the course, and publishers get that. Again, I'm not trying to discount someone else's experience or make it seem like my experience is the only one, but I feel like it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like she's kind of creating this discourse where there doesn't need to be any. And again, I mean, I know she was talking a lot about like a romance influencer program, and I'm obviously not in any of those. But from everything that I've ever been a part of, as far as influencer programs or just like PR lists, they pretty much are always just like, hey, if you want to post about this, do, and like, here's what we need you to like disclose, basically. So let's watch the rest of her video because, yeah, like I said, it's long.
But yes, let's come to the point also of nobody is entitled to a free advanced copy of a book. Yes, I think that is true. And something that I always kind of chief against is that, like, when all of the influencer program applications come around and people are talking about how upset they are, I sort of want to remind everyone that the thing we are upset about is being denied the opportunity to do free marketing labor for a corporation. Like, that's the thing that happens when you are denied access to an ARC program of some kind, right? Like, if someone denies you an ARC, they are saying, we don't want you to do free, unpaid marketing labor for us. That's what's happening. And I think we have to keep that kind of in perspective, as these like lines between like a hobby and commercial interests and like becoming a marketing professional as a content creator who maybe didn't set out to do that when you first got into the space. Like, I just think we have to be like aware that that is a thing that's happening, that we're like being outsourced for free labor when like we could also be paid to do that work, and maybe should be paid to do that work. And of course the idea is that like the ARC itself is compensation, but I will say that like in the past when I have talked about ARCs, it has taken me like 5 to 6 hours to read the book. It has taken me another hour or two to like think through what I want to say about it. It has taken me like 3 hours to record a TikTok about it. Like, the hourly rate on that versus the cost of the book itself means that I'm being paid well under minimum wage. So there's that. So then it gets to what is the motivator. The motivator is exclusivity. The idea that you can indicate the depth of your relationship with a corporation and its marketing department through the ARC itself. Like, receiving an ARC is less about having access to the book itself and more about the fact that you can prove your closeness with this like commercial power. That's interesting to me because the truth is the book will come out. Like, it will come out and you'll be able to read it for free at a library, or for a low cost online, or you'll be able to borrow it from a friend. And it's not that in being denied an ARC you are denied the book altogether. You are more or less denied the opportunity to make marketing content about it in advance. You can still make that marketing content after the book's been released. There's also the point here of ARCs are important for getting lesser known or debut or marginalized authors in front of readers' eyes. I think that is so true, so important. I found so many incredible authors who I honestly don't think I would have otherwise had come across my my desk if they hadn't been sent to me in ARC form. And I've been so lucky and fortunate to get to read and review and talk about works like that because of ARC programs. Again, like I said, I too am a person who has emailed for ARCs and received ARCs. Like, I'm really coming to this from that perspective. But I also sometimes wonder if ARCs just more clearly demonstrate and illustrate the disparities in how marginalized authors are treated versus white authors. Because I know what ARCs are highly sought after. I know what ARCs people are fiercely emailing for. I see what people are talking about online, and it is not the debut author from an author of color. It's just not. I think when people are talking about like what feels like precious and urgent, it's not the work of marginalized authors. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't really have a lot to say about the end there. I always think we should be doing more to represent debut authors, particularly debut authors from marginalized communities. So, like, I have nothing to say about that. But I have talked about this whole should ARC readers, should reviewers be paid, like, so many times. I have an entire video about it, which I'll put up above. I will link it down below. It was a long time ago, so I'm sure that I would have more to add at this point, but it is definitely something that I agree with her on, as far as like when you kind of break down how much time it takes to read a book and then write a review on it. I mean, I don't think that personally for me, I need as much time as she was talking about, but like, yeah, let's say a 300-page book takes me maybe 7 to 8 hours to read, and then I will say maybe an hour to write a review, and if I was doing it right then, take a picture for Instagram, post it, whatever. So, like, that is quite a bit of unpaid labor. And when I first started my Bookstagram, so when I first started, wanting to be in like the social media bookish space, I really just wanted free books. I mean, I wanted to write reviews and stuff, but I was like, okay, so when I start getting sent free books, that's when I'm like, I've made it. And I still feel like the luckiest girl in the world sometimes when I get books that I've like really been anticipating and I get so excited about it. And the only thing that I like don't necessarily agree with her fully on is that she was saying like you get the opportunity to get these books in advance and like, again, not entitled to it, but like you're doing free marketing for the corporation, for the publisher. And very true. But I do think there is a part of it that is kind of like mutual in that sense, because like I know that I got an advanced reader copy of Funny Story by Emily Henry, and I was able to make a video about it with my review without spoilers about like a week maybe before it came out. I posted it and I got great response to it. So like to me, having a review already ready and prepared for people to be watching, like that brought a lot of viewers to my channel. And that's exactly the same that's been happening to me for years on my Bookstagram. Like if I have a review, particularly when they come out for like book of the month, if I have a review of a book that ends up being a book of the month pick already posted, I share it to my stories right after the books, show up. And I'll get so much traffic just from having a review already written. So all I'm saying is like it can be mutually beneficial in a certain way. I still think that reviewers should be paid something for their time. I know that it gets to be kind of bogged down with this whole like, okay, but if you're paying, like, are you getting an honest review? And like that, even if the reviewer is giving an honest review, the person watching or reading that might not believe it. So there's a lot to kind of dissect there. But I just wanted to point that out because I know that I've certainly benefited from being able to review a book early. And while I still think reviewers should be paid, I can't deny that like I've certainly seen a positive for myself, not just the publisher.
Attention to anyone who pre-ordered Onyx Storm through Amazon. I'm doing a FaceTime video really quick because this is bullshit. I pre-ordered my book in November to be delivered on January 21st. I have yet to receive a delivery date confirmation from Amazon. So I checked with Amazon, right? I checked with their customer service to see when I will be receiving my book. Tell me why I pre-ordered my fucking book and I'm not getting it till March 7th. Like, what the literal... Like, Amazon, you have probably one of the most sophisticated supply chains ever, and that you're gonna pull this bullshit. Then why would I even want to pre-order? Why would I even want to pre-order if I'm not gonna get the book until 2 months later? Fuck that. Check your Amazon orders because they're screwing it up again.
Yeah, that's like just kind of unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the bar is like on the floor for Amazon doing good things, but I will say one of the things that I've always felt like I could count on them for is delivering a book on publication day when it's pre-ordered. And it's not ideal, but I understand that Amazon is what a lot of people have to kind of go with. Whether it's financially, whether there's just literally nowhere around them to go support a local place. And I know that there are other options. There's ways around that. But I get it. I understand that Amazon is not people's first choice, but I understand that it can be the best choice for them in whatever situation they're in. Anyways, that's insane. You should not be pre-ordering a book and then having to wait several months. I know that I've ordered books from Barnes and Noble during like one of their pre-order sales, and it gets shipped maybe like a day or two before publication day, and I sometimes don't get it for like 5 or 6 days after. But I don't know. I always have other stuff to read, so if I know that like this is a book I'm gonna like want to read on publication day, I wouldn't order it from Barnes and Noble or a indie bookstore to be mailed to me. I would go to a store physically on release day, and maybe I pre-ordered it through an indie bookstore and I whatever, but like for pickup. So yeah, this is crazy. I mean, that's like literally one of the only good things about ordering from Amazon for pre-order books is that they usually generally get there the same day as publication. So like I totally understand her frustration, especially for something that's like so highly anticipated. Like I don't know what they were doing, because this is just like, yeah, that's a lot.
So I know we're all upset about Onyx Storm and how people's orders are getting canceled and they don't know when they're going to get their books, but I think we need to stop blaming Amazon and Target and realizing that it is a publisher printing problem. I got my order from an independent bookstore and I'm friends with the owner. So when I saw all the drama with people saying that they weren't going to get their pre-orders for weeks or months, I contacted her and I was like, what is going on? Are you going to get your pre-orders on time? And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm supposed to get 20 in on Tuesday. You should be able to pick them up. That was on Tuesday. I contacted her about something else and she told me that she was only getting 5 out of the 20 pre-orders that she made by Tuesday. And she would not have known that had she not contacted the publishers, because I contacted her. Distributors and printers and publishers, they're not telling people, independent bookstores, and probably not Amazon or Target or Barnes & Noble or any of them, they haven't made enough. It did not print enough. They're not going to have enough for everybody that pre-ordered and have them on release day in the stores. Like they're not communicating. And so Amazon and all these places probably can't give the correct dates because they're not getting straight answers from the distributors and printers. I think the only way you're going to get them is to be at Barnes & Noble or wherever on release day or be checking early. So many people's pre-orders are getting canceled. We're going to see a lot more people on release day than they expected. And so we might have like one of the old school Black Friday experiences where everyone's freaking out and there's not enough supplies and there's fighting over books. And it's just another reason why I'm so sad that this app is going away, because I want to see the drama of people freaking out over how books are actually in stock on release day. But if you're going on release day, just watch your step when walking across the parapet to get your book, because someone might shove you off.
Okay, so that kind of contradicts the video that I just was talking about. But like, I think that it is deeper than just like the publisher. Like, yes, they needed to print more. What are you doing? I don't know who published Fourth Wing trilogy or whatever, but like that's really a poor choice to not print. Like they're gonna sell. So like, why would you not print that many copies? It does suck for particularly like independent bookstores or Barnes and Noble, I guess, making it look like these businesses are at fault when it's the publisher. And you also don't want to like place blame, because that's not a good business move, I think. So I don't know. I just think that's crazy to be pre-ordering something and then not getting it when you were supposed to. Like that's really frustrating, and I feel grateful that I didn't have to be a part of it, because this isn't like a book that I'm interested in reading. But man, that makes me so sad for people who had this, anticipating and had pre-ordered it or whatever. I will say that I've seen like copies of this in stores and like at the airport and like plenty of places. So like I know that it did not end up being as bad as like what people are saying, but I don't really know if that, applies for our like special editions people ordered. I think Target had a special edition or something like that. And so I understand like it could be different like editions. But if you purely just want to read the book, then, that is available at this time. It's currently Wednesday. I think this came out last week on Tuesday. So, I feel like it's available now, but I for sure understand the frustration of like thinking you're going to get something and like having pre-ordered and be excited for it and then like not getting it. That's crazy and really annoying.
When other people, specifically a lot of men, want to consume a show or book that has things like sexual assault, incest, plot lines or aspects of the story with that in it, it's totally fine. When adult women choose to read books or consume other media with that type of plotline in it on their own free time, somehow it's amoral and bad and they're weird. There's a word for that. It's called misogyny.
Okay, so this is sort of throwing it back to the Call Me Chris situation. If you haven't watched that video, I posted one about it. I will, again, link it for you. Little self-promotion. But this video, to me, is sort of not exactly working. I understand what she's trying to say, but this is what my whole thing about, like, dark romance and that sort of thing is. In things such as, I won't speak about Game of Thrones because I didn't watch that or read the books or anything, but I will say that in a lot of books that she's kind of referencing where there is, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say certain words on YouTube, like grape, SA, just general, like, abuse. These things in a lot of books are, yes, they take place or whatever, but the person that is, like, the perpetrator is not the, like, love interest. And so to me, that's what the difference is. And it's not to say that if that is something that you enjoy reading, like, don't do it. I read whatever you want, but I do think it's important to recognize that, like, that's not acceptable behavior in real life. So all that to say, like, this is kind of how I felt about the whole thing to begin with, and how I just, like, this is how I feel about, like, Colleen Hoover and such. And, you know, we need to just recognize that these are not normal, acceptable actions from a romantic partner. And so I think that's where the difference lies, and why, like, this kind of comparison doesn't really make sense to me, because in a lot of books, like, I don't read dark romance, but I certainly have read books with these same kind of topics that she's referring to. And the difference, yeah, is that these are portrayed as, like, these are bad things to do. And even if they are in dark romance as well, like, they're still redeemable things, apparently. And, you know, that just gets really, really cloudy to me, and I don't like it. And so I think that is, like, the kind of defense, I guess, that people who read super dark romance have, but, like, that's the difference. Again, I don't think that dark romance readers need to defend themselves. I mean, they do because people come attack them. As long as we are all on the same page that, like, this is not okay, it's a book, it's fiction, then do whatever you want. But, like, for this particular comparison, I just don't think that is a really great way to make your point. I'm gonna leave us off with a funny one today, because, you know, I feel like I've talked about some kind of, like, heavier, not even heavier, but just, like, not funny topics. So we're gonna get us one last little jokey joke in.
You guys, I'm so excited. I found the historical fiction section. I'm looking for a plot with a woman walking away, a woman walking away, a woman walking away, a woman walking away, two women walking away, three women walking away, a woman and a man walking away, a woman and a man walking away, a woman and a child walking away, a woman, a man, and a child walking away, two brothers walking away, a boy walking forward, a woman walking forward but looking away, a woman biking away, two women walking in opposite directions, one forward and one walking away.
I mean, I think we've all kind of started to notice this trend in historical fiction specifically, but I just think it's hilarious. I was at an airport bookstore, and they had a display of historical fiction books, and I thought the exact same thing. This was, like, several years ago, but I was just like, why are these all exactly the same, and why are they all women walking away? So anyways, I just thought that was a funny TikTok, because if you're looking for it, especially, you're gonna, like, that's all you're gonna see now. So I'm sorry if I've just ruined, you know, historical fiction book covers for you, but that's how it goes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I have plenty more up my sleeve to comment on in the future. I would love to know your thoughts on some of these issues, on the ARC situation, on, like, whether reviewers should be paid, even though we've already talked about it. But I want to know, for all my new subscribers, like, let me know what you think about that. Do you think that reviewers and, like, BookTokers, booktubers, all of this should be paid when they're reviewing books that they were sent by publishers? All of that. I want to know your thoughts. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. It would mean a lot to me. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!